Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about recent news that has been related to the severe heat wave that India is expected to face in the coming summer. And also, if you look at the past month, that was the February, it has been recorded that since 1901, it is the hottest February of the century. So we are going to discuss in details what is heat wave, how the climate change is affecting the temperature changes all across India apart from the world, and what is going to be its short term as well as long term impact on India's population, India's economy, India's agriculture, and also what steps can we take to tackle this particular problem. So first of all, to give the context of this particular issue, this year in India, the month of February has been the hottest so far since 1901. And as per the study published in a well-known medical journal, The Lancet, that was published in year 2020, in July 2021, if we look at the past 2 decades of data between 2000 to 2019, more than 5 million people have died on average each year across the world simply because of the heat related factors or due to the extreme temperature. At the other hand, also, if you look at the sixth and the most recent assessment report that has been published by the IPCC, that is Intergovernmental Panel on the Climate Change, it also states that the extreme heat events is expected to grow in the near future as well, because global warming is going to increase, its impact is going to increase, and with every increment of warming, it matters for the heat wave and heat related disasters of heat related death. Now, this is something that is a cause of concern across all the countries, across all this, among all the scientists of the world, because the climate crisis, which we used to talk about, or which we are talking about since at least past 3-4 decades, is no longer believed to be a distant event or something that can happen only in the future. Rather than it already is happening in the present itself, its effect is clearly visible, and it is here bringing new and previously unimaginable challenges to us. Temperatures are continuously rising across the world. Overall, the rainfall pattern, the precipitation pattern are shifting and changing drastically, and extreme weather events are also increasing in both number as well as frequency. For example, even if you look at the tropical cyclones that develop in the tropical regions of the world, their intensity as well as the number of tropical cyclones every year is continuously in rise, and one of the major factors behind that can be considered as the global warming. So these kind of extreme weather phenomena and events are becoming more and more common with each passing year. So let us take a look at the trends in India as far as the temperature changes are concerned. So this data has been taken from the study conducted by Center for Study of Science, Technology and Policy, or also called as CSTEP in the short. So it says that temperature in India has been steadily increasing not only in summer but also in the winter. And actually, if you try to understand it from the data perspective, the recorded increase in both the maximum temperature as the minimum temperature in past 30 years, that is somewhere between 1990 to 2019, is around zero point 0.9 degrees Celsius for the summer and zero point 0.5 degrees Celsius for the winter respectively. Similarly, we talk about the winter temperature overall, it has increased by 0 0.5 degrees Celsius to 0.9 degrees Celsius. If you look at its geographical distribution, then almost in 54% of India's district, the winter temperature has risen in past 30 years. So all this is simply a simple side effect of what we term as a global warming. If we try to understand this again from the chart, we can see we have data from 1990, that is the base year, and the recent data that we have collected is till 2019. And as you can clearly see, the dotted line represents the minimum temperature and the solid line represents the maximum temperature. And as we can clearly see in 1919, if you look at the maximum temperature that India used to record was around 30 degree on average. Minimum temperature that we used to record on average was around somewhere about 19 degrees Celsius, and both in last 30 years have risen, and now the maximum temperature that we see across India on average has been somewhere about 35 to 37 degrees Celsius. On the other hand, the minimum temperature also has increased from somewhere 19 degrees to all the way up to 24 degrees. So such a huge rise in the temperature obviously is going to have a catastrophic effect on the agriculture, on the availability of water, as well as over the entire weather phenomena that the India experiences, including the distribution of monsoonal rainfall as well as the pattern of monsoonal rainfall. So how exactly the impact of these changes are being felt? So first of all, as you have discussed, that such kind of weather changes undermines many systems, including agriculture system and other climate sensitive sectors as well. And also, as per the recent report published by IFRC, that is the International Federation of Red Cross, they have clearly said that with every degree rise in temperature, the frequency of heat waves increases by 5 times. And if you look at the data between 1930 and 2020, there has been 5 times more number of heat waves per year annually in the northwestern part of India. And it is due to these events, there is a huge increase in the number of sufferings and death that happens due to the heat and heat wave related phenomena. So what we can say about the future, because obviously the present situation do not look very hopeful and it looks very grim. So as per again the recent study conducted by IMD, it says that as far as India, the northwestern part of India, part of Gangetic Plain, and the central India is concerned, there has been alarming decline in the DTR between 1991 to 2016. DTR refers to diurnal temperature range, that refers to the maximum temperature recorded in the particular day minus the minimum temperature recorded in that particular day. So if diurnal temperature range is rising, it clearly states that the minimum temperature or the temperature is not falling to such an extent as used to fall earlier during the daytime. And this is because of the global warming. And overall, if this situation remains there for a long period of time, we can see many events that is catastrophic for India, such as there will be large occurrences of drought or the frequent occurrences of drought. There will be high chances of crop failure that can cause disaster for the farming and also can increase the farmer suicide. And apart from that, due to these heat wave related phenomena, higher morbidity and higher mortality can also be expected. Not only that, these changes in the weather systems also can affect the growth of plants, ecological systems, and even the carbon economy, as the extreme variation in temperature between days and night will affect the quality of the soil. So this is something that we can expect to occur in the future. But these are not only from the qualitative aspect, qualitative perspective, we can also see exact effect on the quantitative side, that is on the economic side of India. What kind of economic losses India can incur due to this climate changes and global warming? So as per the study conducted by International Labour Organization or ILO, India is expected to lose somewhere around 5.8% of its working hour in 2030, mainly due to a singular factor of heat stress. If you try to understand this in exact number, it results into loss of almost 34 million full-time jobs in either agriculture or construction activity. And the future death rate that is caused by extreme heat that is happening right now, though it is higher, but still it is very less if you compare them with the diseases such as cancers, infectious diseases, or the communicable diseases. So it is expected that if the remedial measures are not taken, the future death rates alone caused by the extreme heat could be comparable in the numbers, would be comparable in magnitude to all cancers or infectious diseases related death. So we are talking a lot about heat wave. Let us try to briefly understand how can we characterize any situation as a heat wave. So in case of India, heat wave is defined by the Indian Meteorological Department, and heat wave is defined by IMD when any region's ambient temperature deviates by at least 4.5 to 6.4 degrees Celsius from its long-term average. For example, if long-term average temperature of any city or any district in India is 36 degrees Celsius, and if at that particular point in summer, if temperature is supposed that 42 or 41 degrees Celsius, then that can be considered as a situation of heat wave. Similarly, the one other criteria that is also used to explain the heat wave or define the heat wave is that if the maximum temperature anywhere across India crosses 45 degrees Celsius in the plain or plateaus or 37 degrees Celsius at a hill station, then also this situation can be characterized as a heat wave. The recent year that has passed in 2022, if you look at the heat wave situation, heat wave season, it was much more unusual, which India has actually experienced. And the reason behind that is because heat wave, which earlier used to remain till the central part of India, northwestern part of India, in year 2022, it stretched all the way south, even up to the peninsular India. And many geographers believe that this has to do with the La Nina, and especially the La Nina that we have experienced in recent time is what we call as a triple dip La Nina. Triple dip La Nina refers to the event where La Nina, rather than extending for a period of 1 year to 1.5 years, extend all the way up to at least 3 years continuously. And this La Nina has a drastic role to play in the extent and the intensity of the heat waves in India. So, to tackle these problems, what are the lessons we can take so that at least we can decrease the rate of mortality or morbidity from the heat wave and heat wave related phenomena? So, for example, we see in the cities like Toronto in Canada, Paris in France, they have emergency cooling centers if temperature rises significantly above. Similarly, if you take example of the Athens, that is the capital city of Greece, in Athens, at everywhere you have the strategic display of survival guides by reading which people become aware that how they can survive the extreme heat or heat waves, what are the remedial measures they can take, and what are the steps or what are the things they have to avoid when the heat wave is actually going on. On the other hand, if you look at some other countries such as US, UAE, Abu Dhabi, especially in UAE and Netherlands, there the house designs are such that actually decreases the overall impact of heat wave. For example, many houses have white roofs or green roofs. Similarly, in many countries, we also have green corridors. That means the trees and plants has implanted across all the pathways so that the direct sunlight is not coming and falling on the people who are walking across the road or on the road. So these are some measures that can be taken, especially not, if not in all part of India, at least in those cities, those part of India, which are much more prone to heat related disasters. In last, what you can say, the best way forward for us is to strictly implement the Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction. Sendai is a city in Japan where this framework was signed, and as per this framework, there was certain goals that the country across the world has to achieve by year 2030. For example, we have to reduce the mortality, we have to reduce the affected population, global population due to disasters, we have to decrease and reduce the economic losses, the global GDP, and we also have to reduce the damage to critical infrastructure and disruption of the basic services due to any sort of disaster, including heat wave disaster. On the other hand, in the positive side, we should try to increase the countries with national and local DRR strategy, because many countries across the world do not have any disaster risk reduction strategy in place. So that is something that we have to implement. International cooperation to developing countries is required, and also availability and access to multi-hazard early warning system and disaster risk information and assessment services should also be provided to all the disaster prone countries. So that is the main goal, major goal of Sendai framework for disaster risk reduction, and it has to implement it in later in spirit, and this cannot be done only at the central level. Rather, in case of India, there should be a complete coordination between central government, state government, and the district level management authorities or management body. Second, we can also try to improve the early warning systems, creation of public awareness, and formulation of heat action plans where we can minimize the casualty due to such events. And also to tackle at a district level, we should prepare district level heat hotspot maps so we know that which part of district is more prone to heat wave, and then in that area the government and the local organizations, local bodies can focus more strongly. So these are something that we can undertake to ensure that the effect or impact of such disasters are minimal in the near future. So I hope you understood about this particular topic about the heat wave, the climate change, and how heat wave, global warming, all these events are related to each other, what is the impact on India, and what is the way forward. If you like the video, please hit the like button, share it with fellow aspirants, as well as subscribe to our channel for more such content. Thank you very much.